You may have seen my previous video with Saad in which we talked about sales tactics. And we said that sales was a very important part of life in general and many aspects of life. But a big part of sales itself is negotiation. And negotiation is an art on its own. Negotiation is important in sales when you're negotiating a price. It's also important when you're negotiating your salary in your job or trying to get a promotion. It's also important if you're negotiating anything with anyone, with your sibling, with your spouse, with a friend, with a stranger, if you're just trying to come to an agreement, negotiation is a key tool. So that's what we're going to try to crack today.
I think when you double click on sales, right, it comes down to your ability to be able to persuade, or when a lot of times when you're coming close to like the deal closing itself is when negotiation plays a key element of winning or losing that. So for negotiating, there's like a few different key points that if you're focused on them and you're doing that right, then most probably you're negotiating, you know, towards success, or you're able to negotiate successfully. A, obviously, is research, right? So researching who you're about to negotiate with. What is success look like for them? What is the outcomes that they're looking for? Because if you're able to crack that and almost doing that pre-research of, okay, this is where we align, and being able to know
Empathize.
What they want. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Right? But also like with actual impact, not just understanding what they want, see how you can fit within their puzzle. Mm-hmm. So the first one is your preparation going into the situation of how much research you've done, how much do you understand about their needs, and be able to see, okay, this is where I'm gonna, this is my, like you, it's almost like a playbook going into the conversation. So that's one element. Then obviously focusing on what does success look like for them, right? And making the conversation come out to be that you're focused on building a partnership with them rather than getting your point across to them, right? So there's a fine line in terms of you trying to persuade them into thinking your way and agreeing with your way. And then the balance is where you align what they're looking to do with what you are able to do, right? So, and frame it very much like a partnership. Then it comes down to building rapport. So make sure that they understand, and then you're actually relating to them, right? Negotiating is about hearing them, listening to them, and part of building rapport is asking as many questions as possible to be able to drive. Almost like what you want to do is you want to be able to
the customer or the person on the buying side to like sell the thing to themselves.
exactly. That's exactly the goal, right?
But what you're describing so far sounds like sales. So what's the difference between sales and negotiation, or are they like
I would
sort
say
of one thing?
negotiation is
Like a part
the
of
last
the sales?
step
Yeah.
to completing a sale, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what these are like if you're not able to do this, no matter what you have told me about the product or the service that you're offering, I'm not going to be as excited up until the final thing, right? A lot of times, if you've noticed, how many times have you gone on Amazon, bought a product, but you don't click buy, right? Like you've added it to your cart, but you don't click buy. And usually part of like the whole like human science, human psychology aspect is once it comes down to you actually paying for something, that's where your decision making ability is really tested.
That's why they sometimes put some things to drive conversions in like the cart in online stores, like
Exactly.
a quick discount code, free shipping, add this
Exactly.
bundle.
Because they want you to not focus too much on that part of the page. So they'll add something exciting to move you into the next stage, right? Like you want to add the voucher and pay for it. Yeah, so that's another point is asking those questions and moving them towards purchasing that product or that service or convincing, you know, your spouse that you should go on a certain trip, convincing your teacher that or your boss to delay a deadline. All of this is also negotiating, right? Because you're trying to find the middle ground, usually with a bias towards your side and your goals. And then another point on negotiating and doing it right is focus on value and not the price, right? And I think that's very important. And a lot of people, if you see like amateurs, will go directly into, but we're the cheapest. No, but we're actually, I can give you a discount, and they go in with the discount conversation.
But I mean, that could be effective if they have, like, if they've studied their customer or whatever, and they've seen that this is someone who just cares about a low price. Because there are some people who just want a low price, right?
For sure, but you don't know that, A, up until you don't ask those questions. And B, when you're trying to prove your point, not just in sales, in any aspect, you want to show the value. You don't want to be cheap in the
Because you're kind of
offering.
saying that we're not as good as other people, but we're cheap.
Exactly, right? Or you're just taking away from the fact that they should really take this, right? And you need to be able to explain to them what the value is, rather than just saying, oh, we're the cheapest. Because yes, that might be one of the things that they're looking for. But at the end of the day, you're trying to convince someone to take something. You need to be able to show a certain value to it. So if you focus on that, then you don't need to negotiate on price at all, right? So focusing on that and not the price point, and that's pretty much it.
Is there anything that when you're negotiating with someone, a move or something that they could say that would make them like weaker in the negotiation? Like, for example, like a negotiation doesn't have to be one meeting, right? Like sitting together. It could be like a process of, like, the whole rapport is part of the negotiation,
Yeah.
as you said. So, are things like, for example, doing favors, like how in some negotiations, one company or party will like take another party to dinner
Yeah.
and do favors for them.
I don't think that's
and
part of
do
negotiating. That's part of
blackmailing.
the it could be blackmail or like rapport building.
But as in, does that make the recipient of these favors weaker in the negotiation?
Yes, it
Because-
does, right? Because it's building rapport. In a way, it's building rapport. So it does make them weaker to
So should you not accept favors from someone who you're having a business dealing or negotiation with?
It's always better to keep that side out of it, because then it could be blamed for a negative decision, right? So if they chose for it, for example, you could say, oh, the product wasn't that great, but you take them out to dinner, so which kind of like pushed the needle, moved the needle for them. So I wouldn't necessarily advise that. One good thing that you could do is, while you're speaking to them in those the questions elements of when you're building that report, is start asking double negative questions, right? So make them identify the problem and then focus on
What do you mean by double negative?
So a double negative question is essentially, I ask you, double click on the timeline. So if you want to do something and you're just like, yeah, but I'm not sure if we need to do that now, right? Because we don't have the contract in our hand, or we don't have the first payment, so we don't want to do that now. And then a double negative question is, okay, what if you lose the payment because you don't do it now, right? You don't.
So showing them what they're missing out on.
Exactly. What almost
So-
identifying opportunity cost for them, and you can only ask when you're asking the double negative question.
Okay, that's very interesting. Thank you very much, Saad. And for more content of me and Saad, let us know if you enjoy it and if you want more.
The tricks
And don't forget to like and subscribe and comment your thoughts below. And we'll see you in the next video.
100%.